What's going on, YouTube? It's been a while since I've made a video. At the first of the year, during some of my earlier videos, I mentioned that I was working on some projects, but I never enlightened what those projects were. Well, I am finally ready to tell what those projects were and show them on camera. I finally decided that to get the projects done, I was going to have to stop making videos, stop doing some of my extra stuff, and kind of focus in on what I'm doing, which is also kind of hard because not only do I mess with the fish tanks, but I've got a full-time job, I guess I should say, and then I also have a small business that I do side projects that takes up some of my other time. So what time I do have left is limited. I usually try to put it towards my fish tank or the landscape out in the yard, my koi pond, and stuff like that. But we're back, got our project done, and I am ready to show it off. So, with that being said, originally when I set up my LEDs on this tank, I was using a Typhoon controller. The Typhoon controller was a very good controller. It's a bit limited though. I mean, you could have 4 channels, which I had my moonlights, my blues, my neutral whites, and my bright whites. Then typically all you could do with that was control them to come on and off per the times you set. Well, okay, that's great for LEDs, but what about other stuff? Well, I had fans on my heat sinks. The only thing I could do to those was have a totally separate timer turn them on. And well, while a timer is nice to turn on your fans, you might not need your fans on. It might be cool enough on the heat sink to not have fans on. And then, what about the temperature? If the heat sinks get warm enough, the fans should come on. If your tank water gets warm enough or cool enough, shouldn't your heater turn on? Well, yes. And a lot of other stuff should happen in your tank. So basically what I'm saying is I was in the need of a controller to control all of my tank, not just my LEDs. So I went online and started looking around, and yeah, there's a lot of commercial controllers out there that cost $1,000 or so. But if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, that's not my style. I want to build something myself. I want to make it mine. I want to make it unique for my tank. So I found where some people were using a computer board called an Arduino. So I started doing some research and learned how an Arduino worked. It's basically you're writing code and having a controller or a small computer simply do what you want. That's the simple way of putting it. There's a lot of different types of Arduinos out there, and a couple of the popular, I found some popular ones, or what seemed to be popular, but some of them worked for me, some of them didn't. Now with these type of controllers, from what I mostly found, is they were set up for reef aquariums. So they really weren't for me. But with the Arduino being how it is, you can simply take what somebody else has produced and make some changes and make it very easily yours. I mean, all you're doing is changing some code and simply making another part or something work like you want it to. So I found a controller that a gentleman has been working on for the last few years. The controller is, I would pronounce it Arduino. So basically he put a J in front of Arduino. The guy that wrote the code is Jamie Jardin. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Jamie. But he wrote the code, and he's got a Facebook page and a Google Doc that you can download the code and you can donate to his project to help him keep adding on to his controller. He's had things in life kind of happen too that slowed down his progress. He's currently working on an upgrade, the 1.3 version that's supposed to add a lot more to the controller, which I'm really excited to come back or to see come out. It'll have the dosing pumps in it, relays, I can't think, but it all says it on his Facebook page, and you know what's in the upcoming edition. Plus, he's going to have he's got the actual build documented on ukreefs.com. There's a forum there. I think it's been going over well over 2 years now. It took me forever to read through every page of it, but there's a lot of great information on there. A lot of knowledgeable people that's chimed in, and you know, I'm pretty good at computers, but building something like this was totally different and out of my realm, and it took me a while. And really, I think what took me a while was just life getting in the way. You do something and then you can't work on it for, you know, a few weeks to a month, and you sit back down and start to work on it, and you go, okay, where was I? What was this wire for? And you can't do that on these kind of controllers. There's so much stuff going on. But enough of you guys hearing me talk. You want to see what I've got here. So let me throw the camera on the tripod so I'm not so shaky. Haven't done this in a while, so hope my shakiness and my video skills aren't terrible. But let's get over to the controller screen. So the first thing I want to show here is, you know, this is my canopy that I hand built. Well, to get the screen like I wanted it, I actually had to cut a hole in my canopy. And this bezeled part does not come. I had to find a guy that made these, and again, I found this guy on the forum for the controller, and he makes these for just a few bucks, and then had him shipped here to America, where I live. I think he's from oh man, I want to say he's from somewhere in Europe, but I'm sorry, I cannot remember. I know Jamie's here from America, but yeah, a lot of the other people that I see talking on this, a lot of them are from the Europe and the UK and stuff. But I wanted to show that was very stressful cutting this into my my canopy. But let's take a look at the screen. Okay, had to play with that for a little bit. I had a little bit of a glare on there, and I wanted you guys to be able to see the screen. So when you first look at the screen, at the very top, you get the controller's name and you get the version. I've got the version 1.2, which you have to make a donation for. The 1.1 is free, but he asked for a small, reasonable donation for the 1.2. As much work as he's put in this thing, he should be asking for a lot more. But anyways, there is a small donation requested. Then over here on the left side, you get to see the array of the LEDs that are actually on. And then at the bottom here, he's actually got the percentages. Now, I have made a little bit of tweaks to the code, which I'll try to point out. So the first couple tweaks I've made to the code is where it says moons. That is default to sump. By this being a reef setup, he has a sump that he wanted lights to be on at night. I changed that, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit. Then if you go down, you've got reds, you've got whites. Now on the whites, I added a B. I wanted to split my whites up from front to back, so the B stands for back. The actual blue I do not use. It's completely just not hooked up. Nothing goes to that pin. The royal blue is exactly what it is, royal blue. Then the last one he had was for UVs, ultraviolet lights. I changed that one since I didn't need ultraviolence on my tank. I changed that to the white fronts. Now I did not change the colors, just simply I didn't see a necessity. I just wanted to know what the names was. Now, as you move over here to the right of the screen, you see a lunar phase. Now, if you hook up your moonlights to the lunar phase, you will actually get what lunar phase is on the screen. So right now we would have a new moon, which is basically a 0. But you can set in the code, you can set the minimum and maximum percentage of light that will come from that. But like I said, I didn't use that one, which I think it's really cool. The only thing I did not like about his lunar phase is it is on all the time. So whatever that minimum is the lowest it will go. So it, day and night, where I like to have at a certain point in night, I want it to go pitch black so there's not a lot of light in the house. And then the same in the daytime, I don't want my moonlights on. I want them to go off, give them some time to cool off. So that's why I replaced the moon phase over here with just the regular LED array. Have them come on at a certain time, stay on for so many hours, go off for the night, then come on in the morning for so many hours, and then go off for the rest of the day when the other lights come on. So when we move down here to monitors and alerts, the way that Jamie has it set up is he has water temperature, hood temperature, and sump temperature. Again, since he's got lights down in the sump, he wants to know what the heatsink sump temperature is. Well, again, I don't have a sump, so I changed that to where I have water temperature, then the air temperature in my hood, my canopy here. Not down on the heat sink itself, but up in the upper air temperature of the hood. And then I've got a temperature probe on the heat sink itself. So the way that works is as the heat sink starts heating up, the fans will come on the heat sinks that are directly mounted on the heat sinks. And then as the whole canopy starts to heat up, 4 more fans will come on. That's 2's pushing air out of the canopy and 2's pulling air in. So I've got 7 fans in all hooked up in the canopy, and they run off of this setup. So right now you can see my water temperature is 77.5, my air temperature in my hood is 89.2, and the temperature of my heat sinks are 93.2. Then he's got an alarm system set up on it, so if your temperature gets to a certain If your heatsink temperature gets to a certain temperature, the alarm will go off. If your water gets to a certain temp, it'll go off. I think there's something else in there. I can't remember. Now, oops. There's also a screensaver. Screen goes black if it's not active for so long. Now, on the water temperature, you've got it set up for a cooler and a heater. Now, again, I don't use either one, so I've left those just not hooked up from the controller. But you can hook up your heater, so when the temperature gets to a certain coolness in the tank, the heater will kick on per a relay, and then it'll shut back off, and vice versa for a chiller. So down at the bottom, again, you can see the date, you can see the time. You can set up the date where it's there's a couple different categories, and the time you can put it in 24-hour. So if we click on the screen, we will go into the first menu. So, and I guess I'll just run down through each one of these. So time and date, pretty simple. You set your time, you set your date, blah blah blah. Yeah, so it's really that simple. Go back. So CO2 temperatures. So here is my desired temperature, and then you've got a temperature offset, and if your offset gets within so many degrees, the alarm goes off. So really, since I don't have a heater or a chiller, I just put it, 10 degrees difference, but usually, you'd have that within a couple of degrees. And then as the alarm goes, if, I get within 5 degrees of what I want, it'll, again, the alarm will sound. Let's actually go back. So here's a function I did not utilize, the wave maker. So he's got this set up as a relay. You can have alternating, simultaneous. He's also got a feeder option hooked up in here, and you can either just turn the pumps on or off. Again, I didn't use this. I haven't messed with it a real lot since I'm not using it. So if you're interested in this function, you'll either have to check out somebody else's experience on the forum, or look at Jamie's video. He's also got a video of this controller on his YouTube page. But yeah, so that'd be pretty nice if you did have a reef and you wanted to keep the circulation of the tank going. But on a plain and freshwater tank, it's not such a big deal. So general settings. So here we can have it date, month, year, month, day, year, and then you can show the day of week down at the bottom. Your time format, 12 hours or 24 hours. Temperature, it can be Celsius or Fahrenheit. And what the fan startup temps are is what exactly it sounds like. Set the temperatures that your fans start kicking on. And the fans are set to an actual percentage that they kick on. So I think he's got the code where they come on at 20%, and then within every degree that it goes up, they go up 10% until you reach 100%. To no reason your fans be full blast when it's only 1 degree over your requested temperature, or I don't think there is. So dim LED temperatures. Actually, that should be on. And what this is if your temperatures of your LEDs get to a certain degree, they will dim or shut off. So at 100 degrees, mine will dim at to 50%. Saves your LEDs from burning up if, say, your fans go out or something. Then screensaver mode, you can have it on or off. The settings, I believe, make it a black screen or the date. Or clock, clock. And you can set how many minutes it waits until it goes off. And then the auto stop on feeding. I apologize, I do not know what that function's for. So there's that option, general. So testing LEDs. that should be pretty simple. So we can do an array test. And what that'll do is it starts at 12 a.m. and goes all the way through your process at a increased speed, so you can see how your LEDs start to percent up and percent back down. I did this, and I think it took maybe about, I want to say it took 12 minutes, but I'm not for sure. I can't remember. But it's pretty nice to be able to test your LEDs and make sure you're at where you want. And then obviously control individuals. So you can click and drag and do what you want. My LEDs just went off on my tank, but that's because of that setting. So if I go back, LEDs come back on in the tank. So changing values. So you come in here and you've got all your values. The only one that's different is the lunar. And that's simply from what I was talking about. You can set a minimal and you set a maximum. And depending on what the phase is, will be what it does. So a new moon is, it would be 0, and a full moon would be 100%. But you can make it where, say, maybe this is 5% and this is 30%. Whatever you want. So let's go into the whites and we can see what I've got set up. So 0 is midnight and 1 is 1 in the morning. So all the lights are off. They come on at 10 o'clock and they jump in intervals of 25%, or not percent. I can't remember what that's called, but it goes to 255 anyways. So 255 would be 100%. I only go to 225, and that's how the LEDs go. They go to about, let's see, they go to 8 o'clock and then they're off again. But like I said, every color has that option, and you can see that, and you can go in and change them through a bar graph. And you change them in 15-minute intervals. So here's your automatic fish feeder. You got looks like 4 different feeder times that you can put in, so you can feed it 4 different times. And you've got the feed now. And I believe there's a function in there if you have the wave pumps hooked up, it will turn those pumps off when you hit that feed now button. So that's pretty cool if you use that option. I like to feed my fish myself. I like to see them when they're eating. Plus I'm feeding, like bloodworms and stuff like that. You wouldn't put in a automatic fish feeder. Or at least I wouldn't think you would. And then you've got the about screen. So you can see he's got his release date. So yeah, May 2012. So he's still working on the 1.3. He's a busy man. I think from the time that he's released this to now, he's had 2 kids, bought a house, and done a full remodel, plus I'm sure a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, his time went from having a lot of it to not having much. Throw 2 kids in the mix, I'm pretty sure. Then you got the Google web address. That's where you can download this stuff. He's actually he got some code from some other people, so he's crediting some of those people, which is nice of him. But that's pretty much the general of the controller. Like I said, my plan for the controller itself is to get some dosing pumps and relays set up, and I also want to get flow sensors set up, but that's a later date. The relays I would use for the CO2 solenoid to come on and off, and then for my pumps. Now, two of the pumps that I want to be able to control is actually my canister filters. And how I want to be able to control those is through the flows. And what I want to happen is, if a flow is not within a certain range, obviously there's something wrong. The pump would be shut off through the relay and not be turned back on until I have checked out the system. The solenoid for the CO2 would be on a timer, and then the same with the dosing pumps. They would be on timers and have some additional options for, basically they would have the option for calibrating them to, because not everyone's going to be the exact same. They might be a couple milliliters difference, so you'd want to kind of calibrate them to figure out where you're at. But that's what the controller looks like. I'll do another video, since this one's getting pretty long. I think we're almost 30 minutes. But I'll do another video of the actual kind of build. It won't be full in depth like how I built it and everything. If you want to know that, go to one of Jamie's websites and follow his design. It'd be a lot better. You'd be lost in building I don't know, from my stuff. But no, I mean, Jamie's done some great websites and done a lot of work trying to show people how to build it, so I don't want to take anything away from him. Give him all the credit. I've just simply taken what he's done and made a couple minor tweaks, but he's the man for this. So if you have questions, go to ukreefs.com. And I'll put links in my comments for his stuff. But until later, guys, let me know if you have any comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.